right there.
Local 4 News begins right now with a breaking news alert.
And that's breaking news tonight from Dearborn, where a car has crashed into a middle school. We'll start there tonight at 11. That car came barreling into the building while a boys' basketball team was practicing inside.
The team was forced to evacuate, but fortunately, no one inside the school was hurt. Tim Pamplin is on the scene with the night cam. Tim?
This is the area of Cherry Hill and Telegraph, Bryant Middle School. This is where the vehicle came slamming through the wall into the basement of the building. Now, there was a group of youngsters in there, a local basketball team, the Dearborn Jive. They had just wrapped up their practice for the evening, heading out of the school, when the vehicle came barreling down the street.
I was on the outside of the building walking out of practice. I hear a car coming down the street doing probably about 90 miles an hour. I look to my teammates, I'm like, what is that? Car continues to go straight into the building. I didn't see brake lights or anything. I tell the players to get back into the building.
Now, just after these players were sent back in the building, they were evacuated. The janitor came out, you see him there in the grey, cleared everybody out of the school. This car has gone down into a basement area. You can't see it in there, it's gone down. This is the central air, the heating, the boiler systems. I'm hearing the driver has been transported, minor injuries. The trick now is how are they going to get the car out? And is there going to be school here tomorrow? Hopefully, we'll have an answer before this new.
Polling has been terrible. That said, ask people if they would consider paying it.
I'm not willing, but if I have to do it, I got to do it. The road's got to be fixed.
And you don't get it dismissed out of hand, but, and it's a big but.
How many times have they told us that they were going to fix the roads, raise taxes? Even here in the city, they did that. And they didn't do anything.
In other words, Lansing has a credibility problem with voters. Tonight, the Senate Majority Leader says the gas tax hike is off the table for budget talks. What to watch for? An attempt to lower auto insurance rates first. If they lowered your auto insurance significantly, would you feel a little bit better about taking that hit at the pump?
Yeah, because it might level out.
Back here live, let's also remember that the legislature has tackled trying to reform no-fault insurance in this state years and years and years, and it never, ever seems to come to fruition. Devin, Sandra, back to you.
Well, Mara, we've kind of gotten used to seeing lately, at least, the budget process being wrapped up in pretty tidy fashion. We haven't seen one of those, 11th hour sort of budget dramas in some time. What are you hearing now about the likelihood that we stay on that path?
Well, I think that, let's put it this way. The governor we have is a former legislator. Yep. She knows that nobody wins when the state budget gets shut down, and that everybody up there ends up looking like a fool that can't compromise. That said, things aren't great right now. She's already said that she's not willing to consider a budget that doesn't have a road funding proposal in it that she'll sign. Right. And they're saying there isn't going to be one. So we're about to see how well these people compromise.
We're all dialed in. All right, Mara.
Vice President Mike Pence will be in Metro Detroit tomorrow to take part in a presidential fundraising event. The VP also plans to make stops in Taylor and the Ford River Rouge plant in Dearborn to talk about the new NAFTA agreement. This will be Pence's first appearance in Michigan since October of 2018.
An update now to a story we first brought you as breaking news yesterday on First at 4. Michigan State Police have now arrested 2 men in connection with a deadly shooting in Inkster. It happened yesterday just before 3 p.m. in the area of Lehigh and Williams. Investigators believe the victim met the 2 men for a drug deal. Then things became violent. The victim has been identified now as a 26-year-old man from Detroit.
Tonight, Metro Detroiters gathered in Dearborn to honor the 321 lives lost from the Easter Day bombings in Sri Lanka. We know at least 4 Americans are among the dead. Jermont Terry was at tonight's candlelight vigil. He is live from the Islamic Center of America tonight. Jermont?
Sandra, on the steps of the Islamic Center behind me, believers of various faiths, they all came together to condemn those attacks and just simply show that there is unity, especially here in Michigan.
Open our eyes, break our hearts, unite us all in service.
A small crowd.
And we were gathered in the name of God and to pray together.
All who worship differently.
We all condemn violence and hatred and bigotry.
Hold candles in one accord.
Because now everybody is the target. The synagogues, the churches, the mosque,
Despite their religious beliefs, they stand in Dearborn with heavy hearts.
I'm Muslim, but this terrorist attack that happened in Sri Lanka touched me.
Adam Abu Salah becomes so moved by these disturbing images, he gets various religious leaders to come to the Islamic Center in solidarity.
Today and every day we should stand up and we should always say that it is wrong.
They don't have any religion. They are just reckless. They are just out of order.
Mankind showing no matter where attacks occur, Metro Detroit will not stand by in silence.
And here we are again tonight.
Prayers of protection go up to their God, while deputies protect the parameters, making sure this prayer rally stays safe. A vigil for more than 300 murdered, doing something this crowd does daily, worship.
The message of condemnation of this crime and the message of condolences and love.
And while ISIS claims responsibility for the attacks, this group says this is not done by any religious group because whoever is responsible for this does not have God or love in their hearts. Reporting live in Dearborn tonight, Jermont Terry, Local 4.
Thank you, Jermont. In other news tonight, a Redford Township woman facing serious charges after a foiled murder-for-hire plot. Kirsten Evans is accused of attempting to hire a hitman to kill her 63-year-old husband to try to collect his $440,000 life insurance policy. Federal officials say Evans met several times with the alleged hitman, who was an informant, and was also saving up $10,000 to pay for the murder. A Macomb County mom gives birth to a very impatient new baby.
And the 911 call gives us a pretty good indication of just how stressed Dad was when the unexpected happened.
Oh my God! 911, what's the address of your emergency? I need help now. My baby just got born on the side of the road. I'm on Gratiot. My baby is out of my life. I hear you. I hear you. Take a deep breath for me. I'm going to help you out.
Take a deep breath is right. Mike and Nicole Gostovich plan to have their second baby at St. John's Hospital in Grosse Pointe. He had other plans and instead arrived in the car in a parking lot at 16 Mile and Gratiot in Clinton Township.
Just pulled into the parking lot and she was already holding our son in her arms.
An ambulance arrived a few minutes after Mike called and mom and baby taken to McLaren Hospital. Everyone's fine. The couple still deciding on a name.
You know, babies have their own schedule.
Some of them are really in a hurry.
Yeah.
Get here, just like that. Well, it's one of the biggest lottery jackpots ever.
New tonight, the lone winner of the $768 million jackpot reveals what he did once he learned he had that winning ticket.
Also, he's a violent criminal sentenced to more than 2 decades in prison. So who's to blame after he ended up walking right out of jail? Ben.
Devin, hard to believe after we hit 71 this afternoon that we're going to end up in the 30s overnight with the potential of frost. We'll see how we bounce back in the afternoon. Coming up.
There's an old cliche about how something bad can come from something good. Sometimes, though, it's not a cliche.
We have so much dreams, so much stuff we have planned for. Don't leave me. Don't do this to the kids.
Coming up, a Sterling Heights mother who watched her husband pass away. The heroic efforts to try to save his life, and the emotional things that have happened since then.
I never expected anything out of this.
Trying to get your teen to talk to you, it can be a challenge. I'm Dr. Frank McGeorge. Tomorrow at 6 a.m., new research reveals the parenting technique to get the conversation started and help strengthen your bond.
A Sterling Heights mother grieving the loss of her husband gets an emotional surprise from those who tried to save him.
Tonight, our Nick Monticelli shows us how a group of police officers delivered her a little hope for the future.
We actually met at a friend's block party.
You could say it was an overwhelming love story for Michelle and Kyle Henkowski.
Just started talking and
that was it.
That was it.
That was it. They were married and were happy for more than a decade with 2 beautiful children.
Daddy-daughter dance. That was in the beginning of this year, and she was so proud to go to daddy-daughter dance and get all dressed up for daddy.
But even though Kyle was just 43 years old, that would be his last new picture in the scrapbook.
About 6:15, I heard him make funny noises. And I went to go check on him, and I tried waking him up. Normally, you just touch him real quick, he wakes up. He wasn't responding. I screamed in his ear. I shook him. I even tried putting water on his face. Nothing woke him up.
Kyle was having a heart attack, and while Michelle was on the phone with 911, all she could think was,
we have so much dreams, so much stuff we have planned for. Don't leave me. Don't do this to the kids.
He didn't look much older than me, was my initial impression when I first saw him.
Sterling Heights police officer Remy Verstraete was the first one there. He was frantically doing CPR on the living room floor. When paramedics got there, he took a step back.
In the kitchen. On the kitchen table, there's a picture of his daddy-daughter dance. I had just gone to with my daughter as well.
Doctors did their best, but Kyle died that day. About a week later, Michelle sent a message to Sterling Heights PD thanking them for their help, even though her husband didn't make it.
I mean, that's amazing to me that people, you know, in the midst of all her grief and everything she's going through, she was appreciative of the efforts that we gave her, even though it clearly wasn't enough.
But to Michelle, it was more about being there when she needed them.
Sorry, did you get the pasta?
And now it's about being there when she didn't ask for help. Sterling Heights officers found dozens of businesses willing to help a new widow and her children, including a grocery store.
Mike, we need donuts.
Those officers told Michelle they'd be swinging by with just a few things.
I have no idea. They just said we have some stuff for you and we have stuff for the kids. Oh my goodness.
Hi. How you doing?
You all right? I'm okay. Just overwhelmed. This is amazing.
I hope we picked out some decent stuff for
Yes.
you.
Groceries were just the beginning. Backpacks, toys, clothes, sports gear, dance lessons, spa days, and then
Eye Care of Michigan donated $1,000.
Oh my.
To you guys as well.
Thank you so much.
the last time they were here, Michelle was hoping her husband would survive. But inside these boxes and bags, Michelle found her hope for the future.
The kindness that people can show when you're going through something, it just shows that there is a lot of good out there, a lot of good people. It's almost overwhelming.
This time, overwhelming in the best possible way.
We are gonna be okay. Love you.
In Sterling Heights, Nick Monticelli, Local 4.
So much love and kindness surrounding her when she really needs to know that.
It breaks your heart and it also lifts you up at the same time. What a great story. Now here's Dr. Frank McGeorge with more on what's coming up tomorrow starting at 5 o'clock.
The last head of the state health department was charged with involuntary manslaughter, and that is just one of the issues facing the new director.
We talk about measles every day. I get a report every day, often more than once a day, about the latest numbers and the latest on what we're seeing.
Tomorrow at 5, I'm sitting down with the new man in charge of Michigan's health to talk measles, Flint, and the biggest concern that he has about the health of our state moving forward.
All right, well, we saw some peaks of sun today. We're hoping for a little more sunshine as the week rolls on.
It was there, but it was in just such small amounts. We couldn't stretch it into the whole day.
I know my meteorology. It's always there. Sometimes the clouds get in the way.
Well, that's a good point. And there it is. That's proof. 71 is where we ended up for a high today, but it happened in the morning. And once that cold front came through at lunchtime, we were not getting back to that number. The clouds just held firm, and we ended up falling for much of the second half of the day. So here's where we're at right now. 50 is the warm spot. Most of us are in the 40s. And as we said at the top of the show, we're going down to the 30s for overnight lows tonight. Here's some good news, though. The winds have calmed down. We were seeing gusts of 25 to 30 miles an hour earlier today, and now those are down into single digits for the sustained speeds. This is not good news at night when you have clear skies, because those two combinations together, plus the dry air, mean temperatures really start to drop, and that's what's going to allow us to move to the 30s and potentially see some patchy frost as we head towards tomorrow morning. So the good news about the clearing skies, even though it's not going to help us temperature-wise tonight, is we are going to start with sunshine tomorrow, and that's the way we're going to finish as well. In fact, the map shows us that it's start to finish sunshine. as we go through Wednesday. Even Thursday looks pretty good, at least for about 2/3 of the day. Once we get into the afternoon, let's call it the late afternoon, early evening, that's when the clouds start increasing. There's another cold front that's going to be coming through, but this one's not going to make it through until Thursday night, mainly after midnight going into early parts of Friday. Just a few showers with that front. Some of those could linger into Friday morning's commute, but they won't last long. Most of Friday is going to be dry, but temperatures start going the other direction as we head towards the upcoming weekend. So today, 71 may be as good as it gets for this forecast. Here are the lows tonight. We'll wake up to temperatures in the upper 30s in the city, 39 in Detroit, 38 for the official low there in Romulus. South zone, mainly 30s. We may be able to hold on to a 40-degree number out here towards the lake as we get started. And the further inland you get, especially some of these rural areas, if you've got some of those low-lying spots that are prone to frost, that's what we're going to see with temperatures that are only 2 degrees away from freezing out here. 34 in Howell, Fenton, and Flint. As we wake up tomorrow morning, north zone lows are going to be in the mid-30s all across the area. 38 will be the warmest spot there in the zone, and that's going to be in Rochester Hills. Now, despite that cold start, we're still going to get to 66 in the afternoon, and that's above average for this time of year. The warmest number is going to be on Thursday. That's 68, and then we start seeing those numbers fall as we head into the upcoming weekend. 50s for highs both Saturday and Sunday. Most of that's going to be dry. Some evening rain Saturday going into Sunday. Don't forget, tomorrow, our first severe weather alert radio day is in Ann Arbor at the Meijer, so come see us tomorrow afternoon.
I was busy. Get your rest here tonight. Two of the biggest drugstore chains in the country are making big changes when it comes to tobacco products. How the new policy is going to impact customers and how soon it takes effect, coming up.
But first, an inmate who was sentenced to more than 20 years in prison suddenly released. Who made the mistake that allowed that violent criminal to walk free? Here.
Passover. A Florida man who was sentenced to more than 20 years in prison was released following a court mix-up.
Yeah, this was quite a mix-up, too. A county judge accepted the man's plea deal for a minor crime and then just let him walk free, not knowing he was recently sentenced to 23 years in federal prison. Instead of making a run for it, the man decided to do the right thing.
My understanding is he walked into the federal courthouse in Orange County yesterday, raised his hands and said, "I think y'all made a mistake."
Investigators are now working to find out exactly how that mix-up went unnoticed.
Big changes are coming to Rite Aid as the drugstore chain announces it is going to soon only sell tobacco products to people over the age of 21. The company is also planning to remove all e-cigarettes and vaping products from its stores. Change is expected to go into effect nationwide within 90 days. Rite Aid, however, still plans to sell traditional cigarettes. It comes as Walgreens also announced it will be raising its age to purchase tobacco products to 21 as well. Today, a Wisconsin man stepped forward to claim the second largest Powerball jackpot ever.
The 24-year-old says he learned he was the winner while he was at work.
I knew that I won. I honestly couldn't work. I was just I was sweating so much that I'm sure that everyone at work noticed, and I really wanted to say something to anybody there, and I knew that it was a bad decision, and I pretty much never showed up for work again.
A bad decision for sure. He says he's going to take the lump sum payout, which comes out to about $326 million after taxes.
Something's really bothering Manuel today. I don't
right?
know what's
That's a tough secret to keep.
Pretty good.
Uncle Manuel.
Yes,
That's what they're saying. Hey, how about these Tigers?
Very good day.
A great day at Fenway. We'll show you both games. Great season ending today for the Pistons with Blake Griffin. Wait till you see what he did for the media. And a little bit we call Noah Get the Ark Ready featuring Charles Barkley. Come on back.